organization. Oh, I thought this was off. Let's see.
Just turn off your speakers. Jody.
Down here. There's Johnny. There, got it off.
It's getting going more and more in the car.
Oh. Cozy inside.
Okay, calling the organizational meeting of the Harlem Township Zoning Commission to order. Would you call the roll, please, Ashley?
Mike Cavler,
Here.
Jenny Manson,
Here.
Tom Need,
Here.
Brittany Hoprick,
Here.
Louis Greenwell,
Here.
Alan Zako.
All right, thank you. All five members are present. Those who need to be reappointed for this coming term have been, that has happened. Alan Zako was also approved for, as the alternate, as was, well, Louis and Brittany were appointed to complete their terms. And Alan is absent tonight for family illness. So we will now go ahead and move everything forward. Zoning Inspector Mike Cannon is not present. Public present, we have Megan.
Check.
Say, thank you. It's the only member present here online. I see we have Bob Singer. And that's it. Okay, with that noted, at this time I'll relinquish the chair to the zoning assistant secretary, Ashley. So Ashley, at this point, would you now take over?
Yes. Do I have any nominations for chair for the effective year of 2025?
I nominate Mike Cavler.
I'll second that.
Well, thank you both, and then I would accept the nomination.
Can we do a roll call on that?
Any discussion?
Or any
At this
discussion?
point,
Is there any
yeah,
discussion?
is there any, are there any additional nominees?
Any nominees other than Mike Cavler? Nobody wants it? Don't point at me. This is my safe spot right here. We're good over here. All right, I'll do a roll call vote on that. So Mike Cavler. Jenny Manson.
Aye.
Oh,
Tom Need.
Aye.
Brittany Hopper. Aye. Louis Greenwell.
Aye.
Alan Zako.
I didn't respond, but my vote would be aye. I accept it. All right, and now back to me as the chair for the
Give that back to
coming
you.
year. Now we will accept nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Joni Manson as vice chair for the coming for 2025. I'll second that.
Thank you, Louis. And Tom and Joni, I'm going to assume you accept.
Yeah,
All right.
to at least manage.
Any other nominations for vice chair? All right, hearing none. Then the nominations are closed. And all those in favor of the motion for Joni Manson to serve as the vice chair for the 2025 year will indicate when called. It'll be a roll call vote.
Mike Cavler.
Aye.
Jenny Manson.
Aye.
Tom Need.
Aye.
Brittany Hopper. Aye. Louis Greenwell.
Aye.
And Alan Zako.
All right. We have a 5-0 vote. Thank you. And Joni, congratulations.
Congratulations to you too, Mike. Or
Now, the
consolation.
next item is I will ask our secretary, zoning assistant, to notify the township's paper of record regarding the meeting dates to fulfill the sunshine law. Wait a minute.
Just a page.
You're missing.
Did I skip?
But you can go ahead.
Oh,
and do
yeah,
that.
sorry. I skipped the motion. It's on
Okay.
the previous page.
I will make a motion that the Harlem Township Zoning Commission meet on the first Monday of each month at 7:30 PM unless a holiday falls on that day, in which case the meeting will be held on Tuesday at 7:30 PM at the Harlem Township Firehouse, 3883 South State Route 605, Galena, Ohio, 43021.
Second.
She said,
Second.
Seconded, I thought I heard a second over there. So moved by Joni, seconded by Brittany. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Since there's no further discussion, then call for a vote. We'll do roll call again.
Sorry, can we circle back on the discussion? I have a question. I know we limit the, what is it, the workshop meeting to 2 hours. Is there any opportunity to put a time limit on the regular meeting? Or is that not allowed?
Well, the problem with a time limit is then you would get potentially in a situation where you will recess the meeting because you don't complete the business.
I mean, sometimes I feel like that happens though anyways, and then we just like go really late and then we're like, well, it's kind of late, we better recess. Just wondering if maybe there's an opportunity to set a standard from the get-go.
I think there are problems if we have a hearing and there are a lot of people presenting arguments one way or another for it.
I mean, are we supposed to just go all night?
We are.
Okay, all right. I was, well, that's what I.
But we are
was
allowed to
looking
limit the
clarify.
time limit. I mean, people can have individual time limits
Yeah.
put on like 3 minutes per, group or person or something.
Okay,
And we can do that. We don't have to do that in an organizational meeting. We can just say that at the beginning of the hearing.
Yeah, at any time during any of
We
our
are supposed to let
meetings,
everybody talk.
if there's no other business on the agenda, and we reached a point and we're like having some discussions, anyone at that point could make a motion to adjourn
but
or to
in the case-
recess to a date and time certain.
In the case of a hearing, how do we know when to stop? Like when to recess? if you will?
Probably,
Like,
if we haven't made any progress and it doesn't look like that it's likely that we're going to reach any kind of progress, that would be a good point to do it. Time wise, in my mind, I think around 11 o'clock, if we're still going, regardless of whether, I think we're gonna, if we stay for another half hour, we're gonna reach conclusion. But I think at 11 o'clock, it would be time to, at that point, suggest a recess for sure.
Okay. Okay.
So
I was just wondering
without
whether-
necessarily setting a
policy
time
is-
limit now, there's not really a policy on it, but last year, I don't think we went past 11 on anything. We haven't, historically, we have,
Yeah.
but that's more or less Joni
They're
has
very
identified.
controversial.
When there's a controversial issue and there's 50 people that want to speak.
I could imagine that might start to become a thing, which is why I'm bringing this up.
Well, like I said, at any time we can recess, but we can, if we adjourn a hearing, we have to have a motion to do something with whatever is coming before the board. Can't just,
Some action.
yeah, there has to be some action taken on it.
Can something be recessed?
Basically,
Is
there's
there-
no limit. No,
Oh,
not really.
really?
Okay.
There are times, the only
haven't
time
heard
I
one
can
of it
recall
for a while.
multiple recesses is when the BZA has done it.
Mhm.
Like I think they did it with that issue that we had on 605 with the animal hospital. That
Mm.
was recessed, I think, at least twice,
Mhm.
maybe 3 times. What do
Okay.
you probably remember, Tom?
It
I
was-
know was it more than twice?
I remember there were three parts to the hearing, so
Okay.
it would have been 2 recesses.
Two recesses then. The original plus 2 recesses. That's probably as far as I can recall, that's probably the longest time. Anything else that you can remember?
No, but that does require you to set a new date.
Yes, each time.
Yeah. And so it has to be a date that works for everybody in the proceedings.
In some of the other
drag it out
townships,
too long.
that's kind of more frequent, especially when you get to dealing with something that's very complex, like we may get to those kinds of issues when we start having people bringing in applications for the overlay districts. That might be a time where there's going to be multiple recesses.
We can make more of an effort to specify that individuals limit their,
Oh, yeah. we can
Comments
do
to
that.
us,
And
certain
then,
amount.
and actually time limited.
yeah.
And tell the people their time's up.
But it's a good thought.
Yeah. Like I said,
Just kind of
we
thinking ahead. So,
collectively, we can
Anyway.
try to keep that in mind and keep our own comments
Mm.
germane and short.
Okay.
Any further discussion? If not, then roll call vote.
Mike Kavler,
Aye.
Johnny Manson,
Aye.
Tom Need,
Aye.
Brittany Hopper.
Aye.
Louis Greenwell
Aye.
and Alan Zaco.
All right, now I'll ask you to notify the
Wait,
township.
we
No,
can- no,
Not
you
yet.
Still,
Still gotta do the workshop meeting.
Oh, we,
There was a second one on that second page.
yeah,
Go back to the other page. At the bottom.
moved at the township meet for a
That's the
workshop on the
workshop.
second. Oh, I thought that was the one we just did.
We just did the other one with no time limit. Now I will make a motion that the Harlem Township Zoning Commission meet for a workshop meeting on the second Monday of each month at 7:30 PM unless a holiday falls on that day, in which case the meeting will be held on Tuesday at 7:30 PM at the Harlem Township Firehouse, 3883 South State Route 605, Galena, Ohio 43021, with a maximum length of 2 hours.
Okay,
second,
now for that one, that's why we got to the 2 hours and I got confused, sorry.
Brittany has seconded it.
Brittany seconded that one also.
Mm.
Do you want to change the time limit?
no, I don't.
Make it longer?
No, I would not like to make it longer.
All right, you might want to make it shorter though.
Sometimes.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, then please call the roll on that motion.
Mike Kavler,
Aye.
Johnny Manson,
Aye.
Aye.
Brittany Hopper. Aye. Louis Greenwell,
Aye.
Alan Zaco.
Now you can turn the page.
For the third time, I'm now going to come back to you, Ashley. Please notify the township's paper of record, which is the Delaware Gazette, for our meeting dates to fulfill the sunshine law. And now we're up to dealing with the preliminary meetings regarding the planned district. Suggested it be limited to 2 hours.
I'll make a motion that a preliminary meeting regarding a planned district be limited to 2 hours in length.
By Joni, and a
I'll
second.
second that.
Tom seconded. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor of the motion, respond when your name is called.
Kavler,
Aye.
Manson,
Aye.
Tom Need,
Aye.
Brittany Hopper.
Aye.
Louis Greenwell,
Aye.
Alan Zaco.
Okay. The next motion deals with use of approved procedural guidelines for zoning amendments form or amendment to the township zoning map. There a motion to that effect?
Anybody different one make one?
I'll make a motion that the Harlem Township Zoning Commission use the approved procedural guidance for zoning amendments form for amendment of the township zoning map.
And a second.
I'll
Second.
second. Yep.
You okay?
Tom,
Tom's fine.
I heard him first.
Good.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the procedural guidelines discussion. I want to just point out that there are some things in the procedural guidelines that do need to be reviewed because potentially there's conflict with the procedural guidelines and some of the new changes that we have made. One of them being some of the, I mean, with regard to the new procedures that we have put in place, particularly for the overlay districts, and then in relationship possibly to the PRCD. But I'm not suggesting that we do that tonight. What I would like to do, and I will ask for it later, would be get someone to volunteer to go through and find what changes need to be made. So we can approve them now and then make the appropriate adjustments. All right, we have a motion. Is there any further discussion?
I would just ask Ashley if there's a form number for that. Those procedural guidelines, or whether it's just written into the zoning resolution.
I have no idea.
That form, I don't believe ever got a
Number.
number put on it. Let's see, we just all procedural guidelines. Last updated, no, this is not the most recent update, but we have HTCC procedural guidelines at the bottom of the form. The one that's online is more recent than this one.
Could
It's
you,
not a form number, but it is legal.
but I would put at least the date into the.
There is a
into
date on the
into
one that's
motion.
there.
Yeah.
Not sure. I think it might be 12/23.
Just so
With
if
the
we
one
have,
on like the.
It's online. Unfortunately, I didn't update the one I have the hard copy of. I need to do that.
but if we're going to make changes to it, we should at least have a,
So we know
starting
what one
point.
we're following.
Yeah.
Well, the one that we need to use is the one that's online. That is the one that's the most current. Good point,
Actually,
Tom.
could
You
you
don't
print
have-
copies of that?
Of the procedural
Of-
guidelines.
Yeah, with the one that's online, because we probably all have the older one.
I just know where that is.
No idea.
Yeah, it's right there under zoning documents.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Fine.
And what's the date at the bottom of the form?
Find it. There's lots of documents here. Procedural guidelines.
Sure.
The date on this one is 12/20.
sitting on the floor before you.
12/23?
Mhm.
Yeah, well, what do you know? I remember correctly.
So I can actually put into the motion because we have not voted on it. If you guys want
Yeah.
to reread it, I can put.
Procedural guidelines.
As it reads
adopted
in HTZC procedure guidelines 12/20.
12/23,
And
correct.
then we can
Yeah,
always
absolutely. That's a
redo
good-
that motion once things are updated.
Louis, was your motion, you wanna,
What was the,
to
So we're
put
gonna
in,
put amendment forms for a zoning map as it reads in HTZC procedural guidelines 12/23.
That's acceptable to Tom, who moved, and
Yeah.
Louis, who
Yep.
seconded.
well, they were the reverse, but
Yep, that's acceptable to me.
All right, so with the motion as it's now stated. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's move forward with a roll call vote.
Mike Kavler,
Aye.
Johnny Manson,
Aye.
Tom Need,
Aye.
Brittany Hopper. Aye. Louis Greenwell,
Aye.
Alan Zako.
Okay, the next motion deals with Robert's Rules of Order as the authority on procedures. A motion to that effect?
I'll move that we adopt Robert's Rules of Order as the authority on procedures.
Tom, thank you. And a second?
Second.
Seconded by Louis. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mike Kavler,
Aye.
Johnny Manson,
Aye.
Tom Need,
Aye,
Brittany Hopper. Aye. Louis Greenwell,
Aye.
Zako.
All right, motion is approved. And going forward to our last one. The only a person appointed as an alternate for the year 2025 is Alan Zako. So we have a vacancy. I don't see anyone in the audience to ask, but maybe online. How about you, Bob? You want to serve as an alternate? I got no response.
He attends most of the meetings.
Thank you.
All right. moving on, the last motion is relating to adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn the Harlem Township Zoning Commission organizational meeting.
Second.
And seconded by Brittany. In this case, all in favor of the motion to adjourn the organizational meeting, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay. We are adjourned from the organizational meeting. 8 minutes early, in spite of the lengthy discussion.
Let's make this regular meeting. That's.
So Mike, I was thinking that your comment about revising the approved procedural guidelines thing because of the extra things that we've just been doing, but this specifically says guidelines for, amending the township zoning map, and those other things, they don't amend the township, the overlays don't amend the township zoning map.
They do not.
So
That's part of my point
okay.
about them.
They want to recess for 6 minutes until the regular meeting?
Well, yeah, we're basically not in session now.
Okay,
So we're still here. We can't and won't discuss any business. So at
Yeah.
this point,
Till 7:30.
go ahead.
Now you can call it.
we're
to
back
order.
online.
You're good.
All right, so we'll call the workshop meeting of the Harlem Township Zoning Commission to order. And Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
Mike Kavler,
Aye.
Jenny Manson.
Here,
Tom Need,
Here.
Brittany Hopper. Here. Louis Greenlaw,
Here.
Alan Zinko.
All right, all 5 members of the zoning commission are present. Alan is unfortunately absent tonight because of family illness. We just completed our organizational meeting, so we are in order to move things forward. We do have 2 new persons joining our meeting as members of the public. Did you sign in over there? The members in the back? Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we had your names. All right, let me introduce Ashley Zaruba, who is our zoning assistant. Jim Steelsmith is the Director of Development. He's here tonight. Mike Cannon is our Director of Zoning, and he's absent. Our guests for the night are Holly Matty, President of Crossroads Community Planning, and Megan Zeck, Planner with Crossroads Community Planning. They will be doing a presentation for us on a proposed article to be added to our zoning resolution dealing with State Route 605 Residential and Neighborhood Business Overlay District. So we'll get to that momentarily, and they will be the ones going through and walking us through that for the zoning commission's familiarity with the document. We've had a copy of the draft, and we will be potentially asking questions as you go through. At this point, though, just for review, in terms of the meeting, members of the public, there will be an opportunity for you to participate and ask questions at the end of the meeting, but during the time of the presentation, if it's not too crowded and it doesn't appear that it will be, there may be an opportunity to allow you to ask a question as we're going through that process. Members of the public who might be attending online, we've got 1 person so far. Same thing would apply to you. Please wait, though, to be recognized. And if you are present in the room, come up to the podium and speak there so that everyone can hear you and your presentation will be recorded. The other person who we had anticipated would be here tonight is Scott Sanders. Scott has communicated with me that he would not be attending tonight because we decided in terms of priority that we would place the Article 37 and also a possible change in the zoning map for existing article, that for Article 35, the overlay county line, County Line Road overlay. We will be discussing that tonight as well. Um, and let me ask, Ashley, did we list those as separate hearings? Or will we list those as separate hearings? Not, did we?
I would suggest to, because that way you can recess them separately, or you can
Act on them
act
separately.
on them separately. If we put them into the same hearing, say somebody doesn't like something about one of them and they decide to make a case, you want it to be separate.
Right.
That's kind of what
And that's the way that we
Cory Doyle
handled
told me, is
the
keep
last
everything
time.
separate. Yep.
So we'll follow that same procedure then potentially. Okay. With the two articles that Scott was going to potentially discuss with us tonight, Articles 12 and 14, I think those were provided to us, the what he submitted. Am I right? I actually haven't looked for it.
Yes.
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 And then actually, he also provided us with a comparison of the procedures that we currently have in place, where there are similarities and where there are some differences. We're not going to be dealing with this specifically tonight. I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of it.
I'm sorry for how tiny it is. That's how it formatted. So.
Yeah, that's his formatting.
You can't do giant pages, can you?
You
Your
can,
printer.
like, I can do like, I think it's like legal document
Legend.
size,
Well, you could
but
do,
it just wouldn't let me.
what I've done in the past for myself is I've sometimes cut them and then pasted them together so that I have one continuous spreadsheet. All right, and then we have the suggested revisions that he had for Articles 12 and 14 considered. Okay,
So are we gonna do that at the
Yeah.
next workshop?
as we go through this, we do have now the county line road overlay sub-area C that shows the complete, it's in this packet. So when we get to that, Holly, we'll make sure that we bring that up out. Okay, at this point, I think unless there's any zoning change requests, are you here to present a zoning change request?
Yeah, I have a 5 acre parcel, it's AR1, and we want to convert it to FR1.
Are you submitting an application? And you want to submit that tonight? Do you have the 12 copies and you're all ready with everything? Okay. All right, have you reviewed that with Mike Kent? He's not here tonight, so I can't ask him.
Yeah, I talked to him. You know, it was over the phone. I had Mike there. And I just had a couple questions and he answered them, but really not.
Okay. Well, if you will then bring your copies forward and present them to Ms. Zaruba.
Yeah, that way you can keep one and then I'll give one to them. That should be good. And then you guys each get one.
Yes.
First one.
Here's the application.
Check.
It's multiple pages. Is it in there?
Yep,
No, she's got it there.
it's
I
under
think.
here. So I'll pass these up first and then I'll get those.
Yeah.
It's in a whole nother. Want the, yeah, like the application checklist.
No,
You
we
need
don't
that?
have to have
Okay.
that submitted. It's okay for him to do so, but it's not a requirement. It's for their benefit. Okay. Now, wait a minute, I've got two. I think I've got two copies of the app. Did everybody get one?
Yes.
Yes.
Pass that one back. I got two.
Oh.
No problem.
I'm looking for that now.
All right, Mr. Clark.
Yes.
You're standing there at the podium. Tonight, what would happen is that you're bringing the application in. It can be received by the zoning commission. And then we would assign an application number to it. You said that you did review this with Mr. Cannon.
Yes.
Ashley, do you have the checks?
No.
No? Did you bring your checks?
I got my checkbook. I didn't know.
Okay.
Mm.
Well, yes, in order for this to be received, we need to have the fee paid.
Okay, I didn't know who to make check out to.
Make it out to Harlem Township. Well, just Harlem Township, I guess.
Well,
They don't make it out to the
You don't
trustees.
do personal check.
Since when?
Since when?
That's what, right? Yeah, we don't do personal checks. We only do money orders or cashier's check
Or online.
or online.
Or zoning applications?
That's absurd.
Was that adopted by the trustees at the last organizational meeting?
No, that's, I mean, I don't know when it was.
When they
I know
put
that's what I've been told.
When they put it in the system in, when that got up and running. Mr. Clark is a good member of the community. Yeah, my personal opinion is tonight we go ahead and take his personal check.
We have always, in the last 18 years that I've been on the zoning commission,
They
can-
put a new app on.
Yeah.
And so when you go for a permit or an application or anything, you can do it online and pay online.
okay, so there are two checks that are involved with an application, and one of them gets held and not deposited
Not the one-
until it's approved.
Is this, okay, I understand, Jim. You're not the one who made the decision. You're just trying to explain it to us.
Yeah, this is what I was told
Yeah.
when I
But
started
my
here, so I
opinion-
have no idea.
My opinion is that we've done a lot with Mr. Clark.
Yeah.
He is a member of the community, and since there's some misunderstanding, we go ahead and take it personally.
Would you write out two personal checks?
Yes.
And the first one will be for $1,200.
1,200.
Am I correct? Yeah.
That's what
That
it
fee
says,
did not
base
get
fee.
changed. I looked online, but I don't think it changed, right, Jim?
Okay,
The $1,200 is one, that's the application base fee.
okay.
And then we have to calculate,
I did.
oh, Tom's done it. Okay. Thank you, Tom. $862.62. I'll tell you that number again when you're ready.
Yeah, that'd be good here.
That's a separate
I'm ready.
acreage fee. Okay, 862.62. And that's the acreage fee
Okay.
of the
And they're
application.
And
both
that's-
made out to Harlem Township?
They should be made out to Harlem Township.
Okay.
You can put in the memo line what it's for.
Okay.
One is the base application fee, the other is the acreage fee. Sorry, we were surprised. We were not aware of the change.
Me neither.
The application calls for checks.
Says right there,
Yeah, I know.
two checks are required when the application submits.
So the way that, I don't know how that's gonna be handled. I guess take that, I'll have to take that up with the trustees or with Mike Cannon, and he can take it up with the
Yeah, I
trustees.
would talk to Mike and Lisa, because they're the ones that
Yeah.
have the workings of this.
I know they had some issues with personal checks bouncing multiple times. And it cost a lot of money. Not, obviously not saying that yours would, but just in the past, they have had some issues, so they changed it to essentially protect
Well,
the
and-
township and things like that. So, you know, obviously if it's,
It has to do a lot though with permits, all the permits that Mike issues. There's a
Yeah.
lot of those. And those are much smaller kinds of checks. I understand.
Yeah.
And we don't get that many in terms of zoning applications. So that's just something, I'll take it up with Mike and we'll see who this comes.
adopted.
But for now, we will go ahead and accept these checks and deal with whatever confrontation is necessary to move it forward. All right, with that all said, then let me just say that in terms of this, then application, this will be application HTCC 2501.
There's gotta be
This-
something back there, but there's gotta be something
this.
behind him.
This, that,
These are also attached.
but this isn't being rezoned, that is. So this is the immediate adjacent one, which is this secret maple leaf something. It is a little bit confusing, the way that it's. Presented.
All right, if everyone will look at your calendars.
As part of
Um,
that.
Let's
Like,
see.
there are problems. I don't think we should accept it. In my opinion,
Well, we normally don't spend time reviewing it, but if there's something
there's something obvious.
blatant that
Yeah,
the
the
parent,
neighboring properties are only including these guys, and since that is actually part of this, it's a split out of this, it should have included all these neighboring properties over here too.
Oh, I see.
okay, so there would be a problem with
Right
your,
out of the
uh, with your
would here.
application based on, what they're pointing out. And that would mean that if we set a hearing for it, potentially it could be rejected at the hearing and you'd be out your money. So what Joni's suggesting is that we not accept it tonight. And you at least fix that part. We're not gonna spend time going through this
Tell me what
application
part-
right now.
What was the error?
This is the part you're rezoning out of a larger thing. Okay. This is all owned by the same property owner.
No, I own this. A different person owns this. This is owned by, where's the map? Chris?
But is this currently,
Okay. This is the 5 acres. Secret Spot owns the big field,
and that's not you.
not me.
Who owns this whole piece that's in yellow?
This is Secret Spot owns, that's an owner. This is what we're rezoning. This is another owner. This is another owner and another owner.
So you're,
I am Rolling Met, or I'm Maple Leaf Rentals.
no,
That's
you're,
this.
you're person. You are a person,
Okay,
Jack Clark. And you own
Yes.
this whole thing under different
I don't.
company names.
No. I used to own all of this. I sold 26 acres to a company called Secret Spot 2 years ago.
You're identified as a property owner on the application. right?
Yeah,
I think it's
Um,
just confusing the way.
I
that
think
the
this
picture-
survey is, this is, doesn't list them as the owner of this. That's the problem.
That
Yeah, and I
that is a
think that-
problem. It's listed under your name.
Well, Secret Spot is this parcel number, which is this 26 acres.
What I'm going to suggest that we do is that we accept the application and then we schedule the hearing. If we find there are problems at the time of the hearing, then we will recess the hearing to another date.
Okay.
That way, we move this process forward.
Adjoining people.
Because we're not
I have
gonna be
one,
able to-
2, 3, 4.
Mhm.
That
So-
joins
That
my
issue
parcel.
Mhm.
does seem to have been addressed, but we can make sure when we have the hearing.
Surveys,
And what is the date of this?
that's not helping anything. But it's still,
2022, I think, is.
well,
that
yeah,
was done.
that's why the names.
So that's why you're still listed as the owner of all this stuff?
I don't know what. I'll have to go to the recorder's office and,
Yeah,
and
and see if there
download
is-
that.
Yeah, see if there is something new, because according to this, you own all of that.
No, that's wrong.
That's what this
I know,
says.
I see what you're saying. I will find out
What,
what's up with that.
Okay,
according to
This
the,
came from the map.
according to the deed,
This came
it's
from,
5.22 acres.
and
that's the one he wants to rezone.
right. And this came from Delaware County Map Department.
Mm-hmm.
They are showing them as the owner, but survey is obviously not
Yeah,
the same.
the survey isn't new enough to reflect the new owners.
Okay.
He just needs to go and get new mapping.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to accept this and we'll schedule a hearing date. And then if there are still issues, we will recess it to another meeting.
I'm keeping the checks. We're gonna just
Yes,
accept it, set a hearing.
and we have to set a hearing date.
Okay, perfect. And then just, I would say, like Joni said, see if there's an updated map.
I'll check. into
And
this
then
week.
whenever the hearing is, have him bring it then. Would that
Yeah.
work for you guys?
Yeah,
Yes,
Kind of make it clear,
yeah, just so that we have a,
just get the updated map, that way
Right.
what's on these papers is gonna match your map. That way it's not denied and then you're not out any money.
Somebody will let me know when, how will I know when the meeting?
They're
we're gonna
set a
know
hearing.
tonight
Yep.
when we have the hearing set.
our next regular meeting would be February 3rd.
And that would be 21 days.
Yep.
21 days within the 20 to 40 range.
Yep.
So we can set this hearing for 7:45,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and we need to give it a number. I guess it'll be 2501.
25:01.
Catch the date.
February.
February 3rd. February 3 at 7:45.
No,
Okay.
it was just said.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Clark, that's all within we need tonight. Because of the issue that's been raised, if you can provide that information at the time of the hearing, that would be very helpful. Might allow then the process to move forward more quickly.
And I don't know if you'll be able to get that from the map room. You may need to contact a surveyor.
I'll track it down.
Yeah, thank you. That would be beneficial to you.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you. Moving forward, we're not going to review the minutes at this time. We'll jump down and do new business, changing the order so that we can move through that process. And then assuming that we will have time, we'll come back and review the minutes at the end. It should be quick. I think everyone looked at them online.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for that. I saw those come in. I was clapping to myself in my office.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm
And
on
thank you
the
for getting us. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Sorry for the confusion about the checks. All right. With this in mind, now we're going to go to the new business, as I've already mentioned, and then turn that over to Holly. But I think, do you want to address the potential sub-area C map first? Yeah.
Where is it?
And we do have that.
well. So what you're seeing here is the County Line Road Overlay
I
District
don't know whether you have a copy of it.
in green, blue, and then a tannish orange color representing A, B, and C subareas. It's been recommended that we expand subarea C to the west to include about 15 parcels on the south side of Trenton Road. That will connect this County Line Road overlay with the overlays that we are currently going through the process. So everything along Trenton Road would have an overlay at that point, once we fill in this gap with the yellow parcels. A couple of things I want to point out here. We have deliberately made it a separate color. We've added a note to state that the parcels highlighted in yellow are the only parcels subject to this rezoning application. We've also provided to Jim a list of the 15 parcel numbers. I think it's 15, but the number of parcels, with those parcel numbers. I highly recommend that you include those parcel numbers in your resolution that you adopt. Because we don't want anybody lumping this in with the existing overlay and saying that we're redoing the full overlay application. We are only adding parcels to what's already been adopted.
Jim,
So
can you give us a copy of that?
I did, it must have come in on one of those addendums. I will get it to you. I don't have it with me.
So it was with the email that had, it was probably confusing, the email that had the TIF parcels.
Okay,
There's
I
a
thought it was-
separate Excel
I
and
thought
it
that
has
was
that,
15.
so our apologies, that was probably confusing to you.
Anyway, I don't have my computer with me tonight, so I can't give it to you tonight, but I'll give it to you real quick.
Is it what you forwarded me?
Yeah, it's one of those addendums that.
What was it, labeled as? Cause I might have it.
You might be able to print that off for us so we can include those parcels in our motion tonight.
I got a whole bunch of stuff, so I just don't know which one it
Yeah,
would
there
be.
was 4 on there.
Is it the CLR? Let's see,
Yeah, the.
CLR overlay sub area C.
is it this?
Oops, I lost it.
Oh. All right. Yep. That one? That one.
There you
Yep,
go.
perfect, awesome. Printing now.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Printing now. Can you believe that?
Perfect.
All right.
So Jim,
Yeah, no, that, I was concerned about that as well in terms of how we move that process forward if we're going to set a hearing date. Because we want to identify the parcels.
That's good. That's good. My apologies. Like I said, it came in with the TIF stuff on one email and I missed it. I'm bad.
It's the holidays.
Bad.
Yeah.
On everything else.
so just for my benefit, the parcels to the west of this expansion are already in the Trenton Road Overlay District. Is that,
They are in the one that we are going to talk about here in just a few.
The
Okay.
605.
Aren't they
Sorry.
part of the mixed?
Sorry.
No, they're not.
So by the Trenton Road mixed use, sorry.
so this overlay is contiguous with the next overlay.
Oops.
With the Trenton Road.
I'm sorry, isn't it, aren't those parcels included in the mixed service business residential that we just did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one that we just.
State route,
they-
605.
35, Article 35? No.
No.
36.
37.
36.
The one we're
36.
The only
That's
article.
what
doing tonight.
No, that'll be 37.
36 we have already done.
Yeah.
Correct.
So this is new.
Yeah.
The parcels to the west of the yellow area are in Article 36.
So why are we looking to add these to the County Line Road districts when they don't abut County Line Road? And
But
it
they-
could be put into the Article 36 instead.
But they do abut the County Line Road one. That's all.
They abut the County Line Road overlay, but
Yeah.
not the road itself.
Well-
I could, you want to answer that?
I would love somebody to answer that. Anybody.
So if you look.
Thank you.
Even though
That would be this
County Line
short.
Goes with this.
37 cuts up through the northeast section of Harlan Township.
Yes.
All right, so this isn't really that far from 37. These property owners have requested that they be part, and some of them are actually in the same beneficiary type ownership of the other parcels. But with what's going on to the north of us, this is a very well thought out idea of getting this associated with that because of location. When you look at it without counting on Route 37, that actually a lot of people forget that 37 actually cuts our corner. When you look at it at first, you think, well, that's quite away from our corner, but it's not really. When you look at 37 dissecting, this puts this parcel really close to a lot of the activity and industrial that's coming our way. So that's why using an industrial designation there will enhance what's already going on there. Then with the Trenton Road overlay, we're now getting far enough away from our 36, 37 area that then we go back to the original reason why we did the Trenton Road was to augment what's going on somewhere.
There is going to be an area, if you look at this map for the State Route 605 overlay, you can see that there's just a small area there. I don't know how many acres is in it. I said small, but there'll be a space between the Trenton Road overlay and 605, which remains not in an overlay.
No,
It's in-
that's in the
Article
MSBR overlay, Article 36.
Oh, it's in 36? Okay. I'm looking at 37 and
Right,
seeing
which
that there's a
37
blank there.
37 comes right in up to there.
Need to be in that, should be in that,
37 comes.
that area because of.
So that's 36 does come all the way over.
Yes. correct.
That's the one that I didn't have that one, yeah.
We did with like the more like commercial towards the road, residential kind of further in.
That's the MSBR overlay. Okay, so those two abut each other then.
So
And then everything south, I mean, where we're talking about then when we get to 37, it's all going to be south of that.
I
For
have-
Article 37.
yeah,
Correct, yes, on Article 37.
Yeah. All right. Just want to make sure that we're all on the same page because I don't think we were. I wasn't. Now I am.
So you think this area is better suited for industrial than the mixed service business stuff?
It is larger parcels. And with it being in close proximity to 37 and right next to the industrial that we have identified there, I do believe that it makes more sense for that to be.
And with some common ownership.
Correct.
just because the owners are the same people that we think it's suited for industrial. I don't
It's
know
just-
how that's
no,
suited.
It's just
for-
another factor.
It's how they're gonna perceive it and maybe sell it
Assemble land.
as the land assembles.
I mean, you said something about the landowners want to be part of the
They
CLX
have
park.
requested it a long time ago.
I mean, that kind of brings me back to, what's his name? Bandit? Matt, what's his? Come on, the Bandit Properties guy.
Well,
When
we could-
he
Oh, yeah.
asked to be part of a different overlay, and we
We're not doing
said
it
no, like,
Just
why are
because
we?
we're not doing it just because they ask. I'm saying that's part of the whole equation. But it is because of large parcels and what's going on up there and the proximity to 37.
I mean, there's large parcels that we just approved in Article 36. What does the large parcels have anything to do with it?
The way it's going, because you need at least 20-25 acres to enact the overlay.
Don't we need 25 acres for the other overlays too?
Mhm.
So that's, I'm
Mhm.
just trying to understand, I personally don't agree that this aligns with the comprehensive plan in terms of what was laid out in the quick strategy guide and the comprehensive plan, in terms of where the residents wanted to see more commercial development and to add even more, a bigger area of this more industrial development doesn't seem to fit.
It's based on what's on the other side of Trenton, in Route 35.
So the comprehensive plan does call for some business industrial along that third. The interpretation of how far out that goes is something that you would have to make an interpretation. But, you know, when we look at that, it's really in close proximity to that third. And they are large parcels and they are budding industrial.
I just personally would like to see, I would like to see this more in the Article 36, what is it, the mixed service business residential that allows for businesses, but also promotes more of the you know, conserved residential and open space that the residents seem to want.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of requirements for open space in the CLR overlay, was there?
It's 20%, I believe, and it's 80% covered, 20%.
You know, a lot of the reason that we're doing these overlays around the outside of the township was to help prevent annexation.
Well, it was also to do something that we did our due diligence on, that it is a good zoning opportunity.
I mean,
And a
I'm
good
not
opportunity
saying,
for the township.
I'm not saying no commercial development. I just feel that the mixed service business overlay fits more with what the residents want than further increasing the CLR overlay, which is a lot less open space and a lot more commercial.
Well, I can appreciate your opinion. The thing that we're seeing is that once Sunbury annexed that and everything else that's going on up there, that existing homeowners are selling their houses and moving out of the area. Nobody wants to be
Sorry.
built on 2.5 or 5 acres there and live across the street from them.
So we're just gonna move that closer into Harlem Township? Rather than have it at the very edges? Move in the areas that nobody wants to live next to.
I'm saying they're already on Trenton Road. We're talking about Trenton Road.
So what's going on the other side of Trent Road that makes the CLR, extending the CLR overlay make sense for this yellow area, but didn't make sense for the area we put in Article 36? Like what's, if they're right next to each
Because,
other, what's the
we're going,
difference?
where this is an industrial area where we actually toned down on, well, on Trenton Road on the other side of 605, we actually toned it down to be a support that we could put in support businesses and some residential and keep it toned down, based on what Sunbury had done. However, as you get closer to 36, 37, there's going to be a large amount of activity.
I think you could almost make the argument that the parcels just to the east of 605 that we have in the Article 36 mixed service business actually probably could have been industrial, but we kept that there to start toning down. But with the state route bounded by each side, we could have extended that further. But we left it to just a smaller piece to start keeping it down at the hill.
I mean, we could have, I don't know if that really aligns with.
Okay, well, I mean,
Either.
you explained it about as best as you
But-
can.
Anybody else have another question about that? So what we're looking at is that one area, if you look at 36, then the area that you're proposing be added to County Line Road, not to,
But we've got to be careful how we explain it.
Yeah,
It's a
it's-
separate overlay.
yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
it's not.
it's not a separate overlay. this new area is being added to an existing overlay. Am I misunderstanding?
So it's gonna be combined with sub-area C of the CLR.
Yes, it's going to be
So
combined with
The
sub
new
areas.
sub-area C will be an L shape.
Fine, I would say added to, just for purposes of it being its own map and plan. That existing sub-area A, B, and C exists today.
But the result of this will be that sub-area C will look different.
Basically, this map then becomes the new map. And that area that's the light green.
Becomes
looks
orange.
Yellow. But it looks light green will be the darker green,
No, it'll be orange.
right?
No.
Oh, no, sorry, it'll be the brown. Yeah, orange. My apologies. Yeah, the light green will become orange. On this one. Oh, you got the same thing there, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's being proposed. And at this point, we're pointing out a concern, but shall we go, are we ready to move forward in terms of scheduling this part with the parcels now that have been identified? And that's the list. That would be what would be proposed for hearing. Am I correct?
What we have up on the screen is what we are proposing for it.
Yeah.
Does an application have to be submitted?
Beg your pardon?
Does an application have to be submitted?
We put a blank application, however you want to fill it out. Didn't know what the wording would be, so we gave you two blank applications. One for this one and one for the other one.
That's a nice folder.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen them.
yes, there would be an application for each one. This one and the other one that we're going to be discussing tonight. But we don't,
We don't have them.
an application isn't necessarily a requirement. It's one way to do it. We can do it with just a motion.
Right.
But we typically have an application and we created that form for an application to use when we're amending the zoning resolution. And that's in the packet, but not completed.
Yeah, we gave it to you. I didn't know how you wanted it now. Gave you two blanks.
Yeah. I don't think that actually came to us.
I personally put it in the packet.
What
Yeah, the two applications.
they're in Mike's folder. Are they not here?
But we're not at the point where we're ready to schedule a hearing to approve this change, right? I thought we were just talking through.
We're going to talk through it, but
We're gonna schedule it.
what is being asked for
Yeah.
is that submitting the application. So that would mean we'd schedule the hearing.
Gotcha. Okay.
On this and then on the second one as well. So there'd be two items that are on the agenda. And that's part of why the contact that I had with the legal counsel was we cannot refuse to accept an application at any of our meetings.
Right.
So we can't schedule and require that applications be submitted once a month.
Hmm.
Anytime that we meet, an application could be submitted. We can't just arbitrarily say, no, we're not going to accept it. That's what Corey Go is now advising the township. That we do, that's the reason I accepted the application that gentleman brought in tonight. This is a workshop meeting. It's not the regular meeting, but
Mhm.
so that's one of the things that has to be addressed in terms of what we have on the application as well as in the procedures. Can't limit it to once a month. That's a new interpretation, but that is the legal interpretation and legal advice we're being given.
Man, I wish they'd get their act together and stop changing the rules on us up there,
Well,
depending on which prosecutor you get.
I'm afraid that's what in part has happened, sure. As the new prosecutor comes in, changes can happen. But it's not necessarily that the other prosecutor was right or wrong. It's everybody's opinion until such time as there's case law to support one way or the other. And the current assistant prosecutor believes that the case law supports their position that we can't refuse to accept an application if somebody brings it in. Okay, that's enough said on that. Did we find the form that we're talking about? If you're wanting to submit the application, correct? So the
You don't have
application,
My package, that's all I can tell you.
yeah, I haven't looked through mine, but Jim says he put it in, but you don't have it in the zoning commission members packet? Is that
Well,
correct?
did
Yeah,
just take one.
The two applications,
Yeah.
they're in yours, they're
They're
in
in
your
mine.
folder. They were in the folder that I gave you.
They're only in my folder?
Yes,
Yes, because you'll
because it
need,
hadn't been filled out
that,
yet.
they haven't been filled out.
Okay. Let me see
So it's two
then.
different ones.
Here, application for amendment of township zoning map, but that's not the application we need. That's not the right one.
Which one do you want? I don't know, which one do we need?
Well, it's the one that I had given to you before, and when I sent you the email the second time, I didn't attach it. I just said that it had been submitted to you previously.
I get 100 emails. I'm sorry, Mike.
Well, it goes back.
We can go back and pull the apps and tell us which one.
No, that's- right here it is. I happen to have a copy of it in my folder. Does this now look familiar to you? It was submitted to you back in probably October. Whenever it was, we did the Article 36.
Yeah, I don't remember that one. I don't even know if that one's in our file. It's big sold about.
Oh,
Did you
yeah,
make
she
copies
has.
of it now.
Yeah, it would be in like the zoning files, probably hidden in the desk over there somewhere.
No. We can go run two copies real quick for you.
Yeah. Here. The one application is going to be for,
So we need just one more of those?
well, we need two. We're going to need one for the existing revision in the
So,
existing
should be
article.
included with any application that gets submitted to us. So we all should have one in our files that comes in with the application itself.
But
Yeah, it
that's a
should,
blank-
it
it's a blank
should
one. So
be
once we get it filled out,
submitted to everybody.
we're gonna come.
Sorry for the confusion on this, but I thought that, obviously I didn't meet with Jim to review it. I thought that he knew what it was that I was telling.
Pulled one out and put it in there. We were trying to get it covered.
Yeah,
Can I go back to Brittany's question?
go ahead.
Just looking at the map and the size of these lots and the vacant nature of the lots that we're talking about adding, they appear to look more similar to all the lots to the west versus the lots immediately adjacent to the east, which are much smaller and seem like they're less conducive for industrial development. Just the eye test, just looking at those, they look more homogeneous to the properties to the east versus, I'm sorry, the properties to the west.
This is the location.
It's really close proximity to 37.
Hey, Jim, take this and fill it out so that we actually have an application.
There are also, I looked in the comprehensive.
And you need one for
plan,
each.
There are multiple
You need one
areas.
for the change, that would be the existing. And the other one is new. and they're separate on the form. And we're not submitting it on one form, we're submitting it on two.
There are multiple areas of full tree coverage on those parcels, which kind of, I think, lends themselves more to conservation of open space and clustered residential
May I,
versus.
yeah, I'll address that to you.
Sure.
If we don't have that, now we're putting in a TIF up there also to protect that area. This is a protection zone. Those large lots are very much subject to being annexed.
What, I don't know what the TIF means. What, a TIF protection, what does that mean?
Well, we've been talking about that for 6 months also, Brittany.
Not in the zoning commission.
But at the township, it's on the website, it's been going on.
Well,
Tax
humor
increment.
me. Share it with me, please.
Well, it's a tax incremental finance. We've put that in there along with all along that border over there. So consequently, if we put in nice housing lots or something and it remains open like that, you're very much subject to being annexed. Just flat out. Developers of commercial and industrial will seize upon that because of the proximity to Route 37.
And there's sewer at route, there's sewers up there
Not
already?
yet. And I also gave a presentation on, now Sunbury has sewers. And that new Amazon and everything, that's all Sunbury sewer.
That's over on the other side of the
They're
road
coming.
though, the west side.
They're coming. Look how fast they came to Trenton to begin with. I would
So-
put houses, you know, I'd like to just keep houses. in-
So the stuff we put on the west side there
Mhm.
to protect Trenton Road, why isn't that suitable for this parcel as well?
That.
And we put that up there to prevent annexation from Sunbury too.
It's not the same as Route 37.
It's not in close proximity to 37.
So we were able to tone it down.
If I'm understanding what you're saying, it basically had Sunbury taken action before the CLR overlay was presented and adopted. We would have presented it this way. But Sunbury,
We were covered, that's like Trenton Road that we just did.
Yeah.
That was all planned to be residential.
Yeah.
We had put that in a giant NCA, that was our, one of our beginning, maps that we had talked about. But with Sunbury coming down as quick as they did, as fast as they did. And now they're putting an Amazon plant up there and they're gonna have a fire department up there. They're moving fast.
So this is the very last part of the border of Harlem Township that doesn't have an overlay district.
yeah,
And if you put houses there and it doesn't get built, and, you know, developers are developers, you know, industrialists are industrialists, they're gonna see that. We get calls all the time.
so potentially one of the reasons is then the concern that the developers would turn to Sunbury in terms of if they own the property, annex into Sunbury as opposed to using the zoning that we would have in place there.
This section's more likely to be Johnstown.
They're not coming, that Johnstown doesn't have the capability to get here yet. Sunbury will get here.
Not off
before-
of 37, Johnstown can't.
No, they are in trouble. They have a problem. I follow that stuff all the time. Sunbury's the one on the move.
Sunbury's gonna overextend itself pretty soon.
I think so, but they're still doing it.
Yeah.
But by bringing in those big industrials, we're gaining tax. They're getting tax, dollars without adding to the school system. Which is what we're doing. We're gonna get tax dollars without adding to the school system. You put houses in there. Even if, you know, we don't lose it, you're adding to the school system.
But we weren't talking about just houses. We were talking about the mixed service business.
Which has
District,
some
which has,
commercial and some residential opportunities.
you know,
Well, Jim, for that first one, and the application that you're going to fill out, this is the first one. And you would use the part of that application form that deals with existing articles, because what you're going to be requesting to be amended is, what is it, Article 36? No. It's already Article 35.
30,
Of 15 parcels from existing, is it AR1 up there? What's the existing zoning up there?
It probably is.
From the existing zoning to the overlay of.
well, but it's not even that. I mean, the existing zoning stays the way it is. You're expanding you're expanding the overlay district.
But you're expanding the overlay district that already exists.
Suggesting that she's not.
This application is an amendment to the text of the zoning resolution. We are not amending the text. So I need an application that says amendment to the map, zoning map. We are not amending any zoning text.
No, this is not an amendment to the zoning map.
Yes, it is.
No, I'm going to disagree with you. It's not an amendment to the zoning map.
Overlays don't amend.
Overlays are not an amendment to the zoning map until after they're pulled down.
You're gonna subject yourself to this whole overlay zoning then. We need to have a conversation about that, Jim. The map gets amended within the text.
If the article gets updated, we're amending the text.
I understand what they're saying.
As if we say it's an amendment to the zoning map, then it becomes.
Changes the zoning map.
Yeah, it changes the zoning map,
we
and that
can't
hasn't
do
been changed.
But it has, because it's going to change the overlay,
Boundaries of the
the
overlay.
boundaries of the overlay on the zoning map. So it clearly states in the ORC 519.021C that the process that we're going through right now is the legislative process to amend that area. And then once you do that, then when they put out in the cloud and you actually take away the underlying zoning, it says that is not a rezon. That is not an amendment to the map.
And that's what my concern is, that if,
This first part is an amendment to the. You're amending the map within Article 36.
Yeah.
to-
I don't disagree with that statement. That's what I want that's what I want the application to basically say. Is that a problem?
We need to have a conversation about that.
Okay.
Okay, so then maybe what we have to do is hold off on this one and go ahead with 37.
I think it's in our best interest to.
Fine, that's fine.
'Cause I thought it was going to be a simple process of amending it.
Well, it looks, whatever process, it looks simple, yes.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
Let's get the wording down, because it will be simple. When we get the wording figured out, it will be simple.
All right.
So let me ask you then, if we get that figured out, then can we bring it back at the workshop meeting and present it then?
You can bring it back,
Whenever you want.
the next meeting that we have scheduled, which is the
February
February 3rd. Yes.
Oh, that's right, you're not,
We have a regular meeting.
This
on Thursday.
is our workshop meeting for
Yeah.
January.
okay, you're right, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I know it got confusing. The holidays got very confusing.
It got moved around. We didn't have a regular meeting this one.
So,
Okay, so it would be February 3rd.
Yeah,
That's
I
fine.
think-
Well, if we get the wording done, that's fine. Okay,
so that'll,
so we'll hold this off till February 3rd.
yeah,
And I will talk with Holly and I will talk to you and we'll get the application.
Yeah. that's what we need to do. Get this. Now, the other one is clean in the sense of it being, yeah. All right, well,
Which one are you putting on hold just for the minutes? 'Cause
this one,
I have no idea what's going on.
the map, the CLR overlay sub-area C
Okay,
expansion
perfect. I
is
just
being,
wanted to make sure.
put on hold until February. It'll be on the February agenda
And that is Article 35.
and potentially it'll be an application. Or I mean, that's what you're working towards.
Yeah, I'll work it out with Holly and then I'll get with you.
Right.
I'll make sure everything's together.
So,
Sounds
so
good.
from a procedural standpoint, changing Article 35 to change this boundary of this map is more difficult than adopting a new Article 36?
Because we're not agreeing on the verbiage, and I want to make sure from a legal standpoint that it is being done the correct way. And I don't want you doing it the wrong way.
Sure.
I agree. I 100% agree. That's exactly what we want, Holly. We don't want to screw it up.
So I think there needs to be a little bit more conversation with legal staff and understanding how that needs to be worded, just to make sure everything is going forward.
Right. That's what we want. Exactly. So we don't want to make a mistake and then have to have it thrown out.
Well, and since have we ever updated an overlay district before? One of
No,
our updated
We have
district
not.
articles, so this will be a good precedence for
This
how to,
is a first.
even though it's a small change of
It's
a
a
map.
small change, but
You think it's a
what
small
Holly's
change.
concerned about is that we put the whole overlay district as
It's not changed,
potential
yeah.
for being challenged with referendum.
Yeah, yeah.
And
gotcha.
I don't want that either. Certainly don't. Okay,
Okay.
Did it get challenged before when we did it? I didn't think so.
But any of these could be challenged, right?
okay.
Even the brand new one.
Then Holly will go on to 37. Thank you. I mean, I'm glad that we figured that out, that there was a
Prevent the
potential issue here. We don't want to create a problem.
Not changing.
Yeah, yeah. I got it. Well, but to these people,
Your handwriting.
It's a change.
That's fine, no problem.
Gives them access to it. Doesn't change.
37, yeah.
yeah, yeah, right.
Okay, so at this point, we'll just turn it over to you and you guys can start walking us through that.
I don't remember copy that.
37?
I don't.
Yeah.
It was, there's not a new one. This is the one that we've had it for a month, Tom.
I was not at the last meeting, so that may have been handed out.
No, it was well before last meeting.
Yeah, it was back in like the first meeting in December when it was handed out.
It's buried somewhere in my.
You've probably got,
Zoning.
it's in your stack there somewhere.
So you haven't
Because we've
reviewed
actually
the
been-
draft copy that you had.
Yeah.
Or maybe,
You got an extra one?
Yep.
Thank you.
Is that the one you need?
Yep.
okay. We have an hour.
So hopefully we can get through this in an hour. You have had it for the last 30 days to review. And in addition, Megan has gone through this to identify any typos or any spacing issues. So I hopefully can cover those as we are walking through this. So section 37.01 is the purpose of the 605 residential and neighborhood business district. In the first line there, we had overlay twice, so I'm recommending that we delete one of those words. And then the purpose section continues to mimic the purpose sections of the other overlay district.
I have a question about letter I. It says in relation to prevent annexation. This isn't on the edge of the township though, which has been the focus of our annexation prevention overlays. So how is that relevant to this one?
I'm happy to address that, and I would agree that it probably isn't so much to prevent it. But because it's not at the border. However, we were trying to keep consistent with the other. I'm happy to address that if you think.
I'd say cut it.
So basically what Brittany is suggesting is that would be deleted.
And just says to stay competitive with. Is that?
It's the same language. It's in all the other overlays that have
I
been
thought you were
adopted.
suggesting to remove letter I.
I mean, I'm okay either way. I was just curious how, like, are we feeling annexation threats within the inside too, or
No.
I don't know.
It shouldn't be.
You can't,
It
there
was
would
a-
not be
it
a
was a
possibility of
curiosity.
annexation unless there's some kind of a contingent property somewhere.
You'd think the whole purpose of letter I is to get to that annexation piece, and that's not a threat.
Or just take,
Letter I out.
Okay.
And J becomes I.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then, let's go on.
This is the area that, includes the map, which you were showing earlier when you were looking at the other earlier. Around.
I have a question of why it's called sub area A.
You don't have to call it something.
Yeah, had the same question.
I also have a question about how come we, on the west side, we only have it, extended so far, but on the east side, we've extended it all the way to Green Cook Road, despite the fact that this is supposed to be 605 overlay. And those parcels of land don't really abut 605. Nor are they a threat for annexation. And
The commercial uses in this overlay only apply along that 605 area. The rest of that area would be residential. So it's preparing for if sewer were to ever come up that far, being able to be ready for that.
where does it say? I might have missed it, and maybe I can go back and let you know off the top of your head. Where it says in the article that those particular parcels are not subject to the other commercial.
It
know.
says that.
There were other things that I had questions about, so it could be part of those as well.
So it says in the.
Isn't it in 3704? Is that it? Is that where it is?
There-
I mean, there's reference there specifically under A, summary of 605 RNB overlay district.
That also still talks more about along 605.
Yeah, it doesn't
Kind of-
usually.
Kind of like. I mean, what you're saying, it reminds me similar to like the mixed service business where we said we wanted to center the. Commercial along the road and the residential on the inside.
But buffer
But
from the road.
I don't recall seeing anything of that
Okay.
sort.
We can
in-
double check it. I believe it should have been an M, but that was the intent when we were writing it was to go along that. With the.
Is that M?
And what the bulking area requirement.
Oh.
Which is,
I-
oh.
Which is, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh. Okay.
So back to the point that we were discussing earlier about, this being a residential neighborhood business overlay district and those parcels that we just discussed on the western side, they're going to directly abut all of those parcels to the north of them, which are now going to be industrial. So we're consciously putting that residential right next to this industrial that we all just talked about. And is
We've
that,
done that before. It's done all over the township, it's done north of us,
So there's
but we have buffers.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So there's a trend in planning that is moving away from the separation of uses and moving more towards the appropriateness of uses together and how you buffer them and how they interact together. So you will see that a lot in planning today, and that's the direction that we're heading.
I think though our residents have repeatedly asked us to allow some commercial, but definitely not industrial here, residential. properties.
Industrial is very, very toned down. In other words, our industrial does not even compare to the one in the Sunbury house. Their industrial,
There are no Amazon warehouses,
well,
Well, we have.
data centers.
but we don't.
Warehouses are allowed in the
Yeah.
CLR.
Yeah, warehouses are allowed, but what I'm saying is, they're to the point where they can do almost anything but a steel mill. I mean, ours is very, very toned down, ours is much more regulated. I looked at the, Amazon Center. Their regulations, they're closer to the roads on their regulations, their setbacks aren't as much. You know, we're very state of the art as far as being modern and keeping the setbacks proper and that type of thing. We're way ahead of the game as compared to the same.
I mean, we might be toned down, but I still don't think that that aligns with, I think even our toned down isn't really what the residents want, still.
But it's already there. It's already there. There's residents there, expect it, they know it's coming. It's not a surprise. And the more that happens, like I said, the exodus on Trenton Road. Yeah,
Okay, well, that has to do with the industrial. Going back, let's stick with the 605. The question that Brittany had asked, is there, what I think I heard Holly indicating is that there would be a review to make sure that there's some language in here that limits the commercial development to properties that are, I don't, is it going to be limited to those that are adjacent to along 605?
That was my intent. Was that different?
Yeah, I don't think I actually,
Intent.
didn't
Well,
actually
there's
read
no
that.
specific language that says that anywhere, that I'm aware of.
I make sure that if that is not in there, that it gets out.
Okay,
And do we want it to be within a certain footage of the road too, similar to the mixed service?
Yeah, I would recommend 1,000 feet to.
okay. So that, well, you will have to address that and then put that in the next draft,
Yes.
correct?
I have a question, just because I feel like. Thinking as I would as a resident, what is a buffer? What do you consider a buffer?
Sure.
I just didn't know what that kind of meant.
Yeah, no, good
Cause like, you know, Brittany voiced the concern of putting residential right next to industrial, so what is considered a buffer? What would kind of separate those, I guess?
There is language in here. It's listed specifically in the document under L.
Okay,
Yeah, so we have a required buffer, it's called a woodland buffer, and it starts with prairie grass and then goes into limits of woodland. And then the dimensions, the width of that varies depending upon where there are existing houses, but it varies from 100 to 200 feet, depending upon where existing houses.
Okay. I just know that might be something that somebody watching the video back that doesn't
Sure.
know zoning like me
And
would kind of
and
ask.
I don't want to go out of order here, but I will mention this, one more, since we're on the buffer, we've been using this buffer in other communities too. And we've recently, added some deciduous trees. I'm sorry, evergreen trees, because everything that's in there is deciduous. So adding some evergreens to, provide some more year-round protection. So that's something to consider.
Yes, I think so.
Definitely.
I had a question about that I wrote down. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so
I'm-
going back then, go
Still-
ahead.
Still on this page with the second page really with the little map on it. There are a number of places where you refer in the text below that to article in accordance with regulations in articles 31 and 36. Why 36? Shouldn't that be 37? So that's all through this. Article 36 is used as a reference. So you might want to do a change for all of those. Sorry, Mike.
No, that's fine. I was coming back to that page.
Yeah, okay.
And so we can move forward from there. All right. Hi, not to take it away from you, but are you ready to move forward? Go ahead.
This talks about the district and how we're looking at form of the buildings. And not so much focused on the uses, and give the example photos of what we're considering the neighborhood businesses along State Route 605. And we talk about expanding the existing streetscape north along that corridor, and trying to create more of a neighborhood type setting coming out of Center Village.
I wanted to ask a question, in letter A, the last sentence. It says buildings in this sub area are set closer to the street to define the public realm and allow for visible activity along the streetscape. Is that what we want? Cause I think up to this point, we've had a lot of focus on buffering from the road. And I'm just curious if that's what we're looking for. I think that it makes sense to have buildings closer to the street in like a town center area. But
Definitely.
do we not want to have more of a buffer along 605, or do we want this stuff, just right up on the road? I don't know. I'm just posing the question.
I can't answer that for you. You're in church township.
Well, I'm kind of asking the zoning commission if anybody has any thoughts on that in relation to what we've had a lot of focus on in terms of buffering and.
Well, there are some
You know.
businesses to which you're referring that are already there. So there would not be the opportunity to go back and mandate that they would change. But of course,
But they
new
also don't have
businesses,
to be in
But
the
they're also-
overlay,
yeah.
they're already what they are, right? Like, we're not saying we're putting those businesses that are already there in the overlay.
No, but you probably want to try to keep some consistency between what's already there and what's going to be built if on other parts of the overlay. So
We mimic this, based on Granville Township. They have some areas along Route 16 coming out of Granville into their township. That, there are existing houses that have been converted into businesses, that sit rather close to the house. So we mimicked it off of that overlay district. Of course, not everything works for everyone, so totally open to conversation, with you as a township.
I mean, part of it I would see is the traffic. How fast it's moving, how wide the road, if it's this continues to be a 2-lane state highway with a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit, and I think you do want to push some of the development back, especially if it's residential. If you're saying that a strip, I don't know, 1,000 feet or 500 feet on either side of 605 is going to be more commercially developed, then I think you can talk about pushing it closer to the road, because now you're not looking at overnight accommodation. You're not looking at residences. You're looking at commercial businesses that want to be seen. You want to be close to the road. So I guess that, if we can slow the traffic down, I don't know what Granville Township was able to do. Is it still 55? So you're not, so you're not really talking about walkable along the road. You don't want to put people along the road. You don't want to have,
Crossing, yeah.
but even
Even
the
along.
berm, you don't want to have people that close to the road, where little kids could get loose, where, cars could go out of control. You want to push that pedestrian and bicycle traffic away from the high-speed traffic. I think it's personally, it's a bad idea to mix walkers and bicyclists, or certainly walkers with vehicle traffic.
I would think long term though of, I know that I can't change what's there today. But knowing that at some point 605 probably may be expanded, I don't know that, but I'm just saying over time, it could be expanded. We're talking about that setback taking place from a 100-foot right away. Because we're expecting that at some point, we want to plan for that expansion. At some point, there will probably be multi-use paths running through that area to connect to other adjacent neighborhoods. So that's where we're getting that walkability, that connectability.
Yeah, I mean, I can see bringing multi-use paths in behind the commercial activity. So people can come in from behind, enter through, whether it's parking back there or just sitting area or whatever, there's an entrance in the back. I mean, I look at a US Route 62, where it goes through our favorite neighbor to the south. It's a US highway,
Mm.
2-lane, 25 miles an hour through the middle of New Albany. Now, how were they able to accomplish that? How were they able to have parking on both sides of the state?
City, they can regulate their speed where a township has to go through.
The state.
So we, as a township, we really don't have the authority to change what either the state or the federal government want to do with those highways.
Correct.
And I would have you talk to the, and I can obviously talk, if you want me to talk to the county engineer's office too, but I know, in Fairfield County, they say when it's platted, that you can reduce down to 25 miles per hour in the platter. So, not that I think that's gonna happen for 605, but within those platted areas, you may be able to reduce your speed down. But that's an interpretation that county engineer made. I don't know for the York County engineer.
Our county engineer doesn't believe that at all.
No.
His job is to move traffic.
Yeah.
Period.
As fast as possible.
So there's no consideration for the people who are living on either side of the.
Or pedestrians or bicycles.
Yep.
Or pedestrians or bicycles.
Yep.
So I think Brittany does have a point that, we don't necessarily have to emphasize that sentence in here in this.
Which sentence are you actually looking? This last one.
Last sentence.
Okay, so that
Orange area A,
above those three pictures.
yeah.
No, it's
Buildings in the
sentence,
Sub area.
yeah, buildings in the suburb.
Okay,
And I would also argue that this is not a revitalization area, so removing area revitalization also makes more sense to me.
I mean, we were just talking about how walkability isn't really something that makes sense on 605 with people going 55 miles an hour. Is that still applicable?
Yeah, if you're gonna have
Well, if they have 25
in
acres.
communities.
Okay, like
walk-
within the.
walking
the
paths and
parcel.
Yeah.
Okay.
it is something you do want to keep in there.
Got it.
and
The
connect,
small parcels that might choose to use this, it only is only applicable to an existing structure. It
Right.
does, you can't
Can't build-
use the overlay or a half acre unless it's already a business in an existing structure.
Yeah.
You can't build a new structure?
You can.
Oh.
but you have to have it as part of a 25-acre minimum to drop down the cloud. But you can go down to a half acre if you have an existing building you're putting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That was
wait a
the
minute.
effort to try to make the
Yeah, it's-
difference.
Yeah, that makes a difference, and that's.
And if it's 25 acres, then there could be the opportunity for a buffer along 605. But if it's a half acre, no, you can't do it. It's already there. It already exists. So I'm not sure how the wording would need to be changed if there is a concern about the wording that's here, which
Well-
Brittany's raising.
Change it to emphasize existing structures, not necessarily new.
Yeah, okay. Are we moving forward to 05 yet?
Yes.
Okay.
So permitted are single family dwellings and then smaller commercial neighborhood type commercial businesses. Some small offices, parks, small places of assemblies, restaurants, schools. And then roof mounted solar energy and individual wind energy conversion systems.
In our definitions article, there is no definition for makerspace. In Article 35, there is, but it also says that any definitions included are only for Article 35.
We need a definition. I also had, wind energy conversion systems individual, is that like? What is that? Is that like a wind
Windmill?
turbine?
It's a wind
Okay.
mill that's serving just that house. It's not a large one that's selling back to the grid.
And I think that is already in our definitions.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
sorry, I missed that.
under the alternative energy system
Yeah.
standard or article. You have as a sub area B listed ahead of that column. You're gonna,
So we took that out.
you just took it out, yeah.
What you're seeing up there, it is now. I was supposed to say that as I was going. through
Okay,
that.
that's what I anticipated would be the case. Just wanted to make sure. All right,
We've also made some small changes through here for spacing, so making sure the heights are all coordinated too.
I want
In this table, you mean?
In the table and then like 37.06, we adjusted the hyphen to match the hyphens and others.
Okay. And G, on the next page also refers to our sub areas B and C.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
said that too.
that needs to be dropped.
If we could go back to letter B, we talk about parking of unused vehicles, tractor trailers, whatnot, for 14 days. Exceeding 14 days. Why 14 days? That seems excessive.
Because I think that's what it is in other
It is
sections in
all the other.
Okay,
That's in our code.
it's in, yeah, it's in
Okay.
other parts of the
all
code.
right.
Yeah, that
That
exists
still
currently in
seems
multiple
excessive,
places. Yeah.
But, okay, I guess if, so if it's in everything else, that's how we want to keep it.
So going back to G, it's coming out or just the reference to sub area B and C?
I
Just
think
the reference.
just a reference, it'll be a
It's a
period
summary.
after prohibited.
And then when we talk about makerspace, we're gonna move a definition into Article 4,
For overall.
Add a definition.
Article 5, or the definition.
I mean, you may want to use the one that's in Article 35. I'm not sure why we put so many definitions in Article 35. We
Yeah.
got several pages of definitions just in Article 35.
But at one time, it must have been a need to put that in because we didn't have the definitions elsewhere.
True, but we
Yeah.
could have put them into 4.
And 4, I think you guys had already started down the path of 35, and that's why we went that route.
Yeah, it just, some of these are in 4.
Right.
Yeah, some of them are, but not all of them.
Right.
Procedures, we'll follow the mixed use procedures in Article 31. Development standards, we'll obviously change that 36 to 37. We have adjusted, if you look on the screen, we've adjusted B to capitalize tract size. Remove the word for, capitalize 2, make that consistent. And then, again, this goes back to our 25 acres, so you have to have 25 acres to pull down the cloud, except when you have an existing, structure that you want to put a business in, you can go down to that half acre.
I wanted to ask about the open space.
Okay,
So it says, you know, if there's an existing structure that fronts directly on 605, they don't have any open space requirements. Why wouldn't we have them require open space?
so it would be, again, for that half acre tract where they're pulling it down, if it's part of the larger 25 acres, they would be required to do the open space.
So could we put some verbiage in here that states that then?
Yeah. I had the same notation as Brittany. That it
Okay.
wasn't clear that this would only apply to the half acre lots. Because there may be an existing structure and they're operating a business already. And they've got 30 acres. That with that, then we would want the open space to apply.
Example. going on to site design standards. This is all the typical language that we have in the other overlay, district, so I'm really not gonna focus on those.
I had a question, number 4. It said something about the CRCD, is this the CRCD?
Wait. Yes,
Sorry,
Are you in site design?
37.08. Letter number 4.
A.
4, yeah, no, under open space.
Under
Oh,
CA.
C, sorry,
Right above
it
D,
says CRCD.
number 4, right above, yeah.
Is that, what is that?
That was the old name.
Okay, so that should be removed.
It's, should be 605 RNB now.
Site design is all the same. Number of dwelling units is 3 dwelling units per next development acre. Has the 70% language in there that we used in other overlays.
Yeah, could you just maybe this has been explained before and I just need it again here. The last sentence in E, number of dwelling units permitted. In no case shall net developable acres be less than 70% of the gross tract acres. But 50% of the gross tract acres have to be open space, and I'm not
So
getting the
if-
numbers.
During our clustered residential overlay district, if we used strict net developable acres and somebody had 75 acres of woods that you wanted to preserve, then they would actually lose density if you did net developable acres. So we came up with this formula to even out the density and not be discriminatory towards properties that have natural features that are more than 50%.
Okay, so if you have a 25-acre tract, which is your minimum, 12.5 acres are supposed to be open space.
Let's say they have 15 acres that is really nice woods. And so we would want them to protect the whole 15 acres of woods, which is more than 50%. So they would be allowed to increase their densities above 3 dwelling units per acre to get 70% of the gross acreage density to offset what they are giving you in additional open space. It's a formula that we came up with the cluster residential district.
And that, basically what we're saying is this is the language that was developed and is in
Yes.
the clustered residential overlay.
Jody, I
So it would
remember
only
having
be
that-
applicable in those instances such as the example you described.
I remember having that same exact question when I saw this the first time on the last one that we did,
Yeah,
and we had this.
you
I think
did.
We had
I
the same
remember that.
conversation,
Yeah,
and it finally clicked in my head.
Yeah. It's just,
yeah.
It's hard to read and understand it, but when you like sit down and you like draw it out and you see it, it really makes you really see that somebody can be cheated out of lots if they're preserving more than 50%.
Right.
I have a question about the 3 dwelling units per acre. How did we land on that?
That was part of the quick strategy guide.
Okay.
Recommendations.
Okay. And we're sure sewer can support that? Like, how is that determined?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, so now we do want to talk about sewage here. So we do not have sewage to this area as of right now. Expect someday it will be here. We left the language in here that allows on-site systems to be utilized if the EPA and Health Department allows it. We did this in the County Line Road overlay district because there was concern about that. We left that language in here, but I have a note to ask you if you want to have it in here or if you want to require water and central water and sewer to pour down this cloud.
My biggest concern about allowing those to go in is I'm assuming when they go in, they would have to go in with a maintenance plan and with an ownership and with a, if they fail, who's responsible for keeping them up to date. And if and when the sewer does come in, they're required to be,
The other thing, there's a couple of things I point out. One, that's that. Two, most likely if the EPA approves it, they're gonna say when sewer gets there, they gotta connect. So I'm
Right.
not sure how feasible it really is to do it. And then second of all, in the county line road overlay, because it's more industrial based, you have maybe one property owner you're dealing with, whereas this is a residential subdivision potentially. And you get into that larger maintenance.
Right.
I really like the idea of not pulling this down until there's sewer and water.
Me
I
too.
agree. I would-
And we can deal with, as an example, what's happened down at the trailer park. There's been lots of problems there with their beach treatment.
well, and in the county line road overlay, maybe we were trying to be amenable to those that might want to annex out. And here, there's no threat of that, so we don't have to give that up.
Yeah. So I think you're hearing from at least three of us that we'd like to see that taken out. Is there anyone who thinks it should stay? We got consensus.
I have a question.
Sorry, what section is this?
At three,
F,
Sewage disposal, F.
3708 F.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate here and ask Holly a question. Because I know what's been going on about, on-site sewage systems. So the EPA was going to approve them.
Right.
And at the last minute, last April, they pulled it back.
Mhm.
So for subdivisions. So what happens is, just like you always worry, and you're not 100% of guaranteed. What happens if the EPA does come back and allow it for subdivisions? With the idea that when the sewer gets there, you have to tap into it. Are we subjecting ourselves to a lawsuit by denying them the right to use that?
I don't think so, because you could still, you could,
You're not taking all the uses away from them.
not take these away. I would say if you had water and sewer there and you weren't allowing the density to utilize the water and
Okay.
sewer, that's an issue to me. But I don't think allowing them to use a package plant
Okay,
is gonna be a.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
Because, and the board probably didn't realize.
and I'm only thinking of it, as the conversation has focused when it applies to residential kinds of
Right, and what had
situations.
happened, it was.
And
residential.
that's what you're saying, that EPA pulled back.
And then they pulled it back. So, which is fine, but what I don't want to do is do something that subjects us to a problem.
right.
Yeah. Well, it's not already there, so we're not taking it out.
Okay,
This is a new article, so it's not something that's been there that we're taking away.
So you're saying package plants,
No, I have to require, we're requiring water and sewer to pull down.
Right. Or,
and is that too high a bar for somebody? I mean, they, you know, they're in the right area, they have the acreage, you
No,
know, but they're saying it's not gonna have sewer. Does this overlay the existing CRCD?
Not the CRCD, but the PLR that you have, does that extend up here?
Or the PRD?
PRD.
yeah, it covered
It
the,
covers the whole township.
it covers the
right?
whole township.
If
Okay,
you don't-
they do that. Gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
It covers the whole township.
Stormwater, there's really no changes to that versus what is in other overlays, same with subdivision standards. Pavement standards for parking lots, I believe we have that one in the Frenchman Road one. Just talking about having pavement build up against the edge of the roadway. Paths requiring 10-foot multi-use paths throughout the developments. Making sure they mimic the rural character of the area. Street trees, requiring those along all one side of all new roadways. And then buffers, requiring that 200-foot buffer, 100-foot buffer, depending upon where those existing houses are. So it just depends upon if it's 200 or 100, depending upon what's existing adjacent to it.
So can we talk about the buffers again?
Sure.
It says in the buffers, there must be a 200-foot woodland buffer from the right of way of 605, except whenever a neighborhood business is proposed along 605. But I think we talked a little bit earlier about how maybe we did want a little bit of a setback. So is this where we would make
We would have
that
to make a change here
adjustment?
too. Yes,
Mhm.
it would be in two places, the one we talked about before and here as well.
Okay. And the 100-foot prairie buffer. How come we only have 100-foot from other roads, but 200-foot from 605?
Because they're smaller roads. So we have adjusted the setback based upon the size and impact of the road.
To go back to something you'd said before, on under K, street trees. You're still considering street trees as deciduous, not to plant coniferous trees.
Not on the street.
And it said that it's the doors probably.
So, but there is somewhere else where you want to expand.
It's this buffer, the woodland buffer, that's where we want to add it. The other one.
In the buffers here in this L, the neighborhood businesses have like only a 10-foot difference on where they can be placed from the right of way. They have to be at least 40 feet, but not more than 50 feet. Do we want a maximum on that? What is the purpose of the maximum? This is in L.
Oh.
I'm not sure I see a purpose in having a maximum.
That is, to get that streetscape so that you weren't having buildings set back too far, but if we're changing that, we'll be changing this.
Okay.
That goes back to Brittany's question. You have to make a change in both.
In relation to the setback, this just might be my lack of understanding. Is that like, so they have the 200-foot buffer and then from the buffer, they're set back another 40 feet? Or are they like within the buffer?
The businesses would be within the buffer.
Okay. All right. Isn't the idea of the buffer so that you don't see the business from the road?
Businesses
Maybe
want to be seen though. Unfortunately.
Well, but, okay,
Oh.
I'm just,
Yeah, I
so
know.
what's the point
I
of the
know.
buffer? Like what?
To buffer the residential from the roads itself of all the traffic running back and forth. But so if there's residential that's coming out for 605, they have to have that buffer. But if it's a business, they'd be allowed to go up to that road. But what I'm hearing from you is you don't want to allow the businesses there anyway, so we're probably gonna change that.
Yeah, I still do want some buffering, I think. You know, and a business might actually want some of that buffer if it can count towards the open space like it says here. It's an easy way to get some open space accounted for.
And I can tell you that a 300-foot woodland buffer off of 605,
Not enough.
but
Just from
you're not gonna get,
personal experiences. And yours is.
You know, because you live there.
that's
And
right.
Yeah.
how many feet do you have, Tom?
What do you mean?
How many feet of woodland do you have?
300 feet of woodland?
300 feet, okay, wow.
And you can still hear 605 like it was right outside your window.
Yeah.
Well, I'm half a
That's
mile
because
away,
they're
and I
not
still hear
all
605.
coniferous trees.
You know, it's old deciduous trees and half of them knocked
Yeah.
down. I mean, it's, yeah.
And some trucks are still doing tiered braking for that roundabout there at Fancher.
Even though is the
That's-
sign up?
Yeah, I haven't noticed if the sign's up or not.
I don't know
Oh,
either.
about engine braking.
Yeah,
It's a good thing
I
to
don't-
check on.
I can definitely hear that half
I don't
mile
think they
away.
have a sign.
I don't think there's a sign.
Okay, going forward.
I'm gonna share her screen because my computer crashed. So.
Okay,
We're on buffer. I'll start talking while she's looking.
Mhm.
Okay, we're on the buffers. We've got through buffers and we're moving to bulk area.
No, you haven't gotten through buffers
Oh,
yet.
sorry.
Sorry.
You're fine.
I have another question. I might be, again, misunderstanding. In the little table, it says the minimum buffer is 40 feet, but I thought the minimum buffer was 200 feet.
No, so, the minimum footage for the shrubs is 40 feet, and then then they start going into the additional areas where the trees go, so they have to have the 40 feet of woodland area of the prairie grass, and then the rest of that buffer turns into where the trees go.
So if you see this illustration, there's no page number, it's table 37.2. So that illustration is the prairie grass, the shrubs, and then the larger trees.
I get that, but then, so the 40 feet is the meadow part?
40 feet refers to the woodland buffer part.
No, she just said it's the meadow
She
part.
said it was the meadow. That's why do we want to maybe put something more specific? Cause I see
Yeah.
buffer and I'm thinking.
Yeah, it does say
well,
just like the minimum
is
buffer.
200 feet. Right? You
Hey,
know what I'm saying?
Maybe add the width of the feet to the diagram.
So we can say 200 feet total, 40 feet for the prairie grass, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would be good just for clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that goes. Maybe, yeah, similar with the prairie buffer then. Where it says,
It's the same.
okay.
Yeah.
And is there a reason we do? So it's the prairie buffers are at half the size of the woodland buffer. We have 10 small trees in the woodland. How can we bump that down to only 3 small trees? Isn't it where like everything else is kind of half? You know,
Yeah.
would it make more sense to have that be 5, be half of the woodland? Like everything else is half.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying.
So you're gonna take 3 to 5,
What?
change 3 to
3 to
5.
5.
Yeah.
Anything else on buffer?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Figure 37.3.
2 large,
It-
5 small trees and 17 shrubs. Those are the numbers.
Yeah,
Okay.
the figure 37.3 I find very difficult to read. 3,
Read the figure?
yeah.
I think, we found the original file on this one.
Yeah.
And so this is probably a copy and paste, but we have the original file.
And if you gotta change 3 trees to 5, geez. Yeah.
Bulk area requirements, that is gonna be letter N. And, that is where we talk about the 25 acres to pull down the cloud, unless you have an existing structure along 605, and then you can pull it down with half acre. If you pull down the 25, then the minimum lot size is an acre. The minimum setback is 200 feet. For the single family, we had 40 with a maximum of 60 for the neighborhood business, but we will adjust that based upon what we got here. Minimum setback along existing township or county roads other than 605, we have as 100 feet. Maximum setback from new collector road is 30 feet, and we have that because if you have houses going in, a 30-foot setback is typical.
Okay, you said maximum and it says minimum here.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. Minimum. 30
Thank you.
feet. The rear setback is 25 feet, again, because this is residential. And then if it
Why is-
abuts a single family house, an existing single family house, then they have to put in the perimeter buffer, which is outlined in a further section to the bottom of this, which we will get to.
What does NA for maximum mixed use building height mean
Yeah. I had that one too. Should that?
in
just be
that
removed?
table?
We should probably just take that out, that whole line out.
And in that table, first line across, second column, it should be 605 RNB, not just 605 NB.
Oh, you're right. And I had a question about the minimum driveway setback from a side lot line. It says 2, so can you explain to me what that means exactly?
So, if you have single family lots, they have to, their driveway can start no closer than 2 feet from that property. To give a buffer, so you don't have somebody putting a driveway in and somebody putting a driveway in and having one big driveway.
Feet is pretty small though.
It is, but at
Big
least it's a
deal.
separation, so. I've seen 3 feet, I've seen 2 feet, that's typical. I mean, we could match the,
Do we have driveway setback requirements in any of our other residential articles?
no,
I don't know.
I mean, we have it in the other overlays. For this
Mhm.
feet.
I guess I just haven't.
I mean,
Focused
the
in on it
buildings
before.
themselves will be farther away. This is just for, and it's probably a side load garage.
Well,
Sort of.
there's an asterisk saying for side load garages, they have to provide a 20-foot apron. In addition to the 2-foot side lot line.
I was just thinking like if I had my residential driveway next to one of these lots and then they just put their driveway right next to mine. I don't know, 2 feet doesn't seem
But-
like enough to
But that
me.
would assume that your driveway is 2 feet off the property line,
That's
right?
true.
So if you put yours there and somebody else puts theirs, well, shovel them
Mine
both at the same
shouldn't be
time.
there either.
Yeah, that'll be at least 4 feet between them.
Okay.
You could share a snow blower.
There you go.
Good to go.
Yeah, that's the challenge. When they're blowing their driveway, it's going on yours. Cause they're that close.
Else is concerned.
All right, minimum dwelling unit, area, these limit.
I have one more question on this one. The maximum lot coverage, is 80%. The 50% has to be open space.
Yeah.
Lots. So on the individual lot, they can go 80%,
Okay,
but overall, they have to have 50% open space for the whole tract.
okay.
Is there any way to clarify that more? Cause I read it the same as Joni and I was like, wait a minute.
Well. The lot coverage and tract, lots and tracts are 2 different things. and we
Yeah.
Find them,
Yeah,
Okay.
so.
okay.
Yeah. Well, we identify minimum lot size as being 1. Earlier. So 1 acre.
Okay.
So they could
Mhm.
cover 80% of an acre.
That also seemed like a lot.
Well, an acre seems like a little.
No, I'm saying if you cover,
Yeah,
I mean, I
it's
have
it's not,
1.25 acres. If I
it's-
covered 80% of my lot, holy moly.
there'd be a lot of runoff, wouldn't there?
Right. No. I don't have a reason necessarily why it shouldn't be 80. It just seems like
80
a
is
lot.
typical, anywhere
Okay.
75, 80,
And that's structures or just,
all impervious,
pavement.
all impervious surface.
so pavement too?
Accessory buildings, everything.
Under that little table, it says section 37.07 Q13. I don't think that's right.
I think you're,
Because 37.07 is the procedure to apply. I think maybe it's, maybe 3708, could that be?
So check that reference.
What is 3707?
Where's Q?
It's,
Q is,
Tina's perimeter buffer. It's on,
but 3707, section 3707 is
oh, 3708. So Q13 is correct. The 3708.
3708.
Okay, yeah.
And Q is, what is
So
Q, landscaping?
Probably won't be Q anymore. Didn't we change the lettering?
Oh, that was an issue, the only where one letter was wrong, everything
Oh.
else was correct.
Perimeter.
Okay.
Perimeter buffer in landscaping. Yeah, there it is.
You probably need to adjust the page break for.
Yeah, we don't worry about these breaks. Yeah.
But it would be nice to have page numbers.
Yep. Gonna go into minimum dwelling unit clearing.
yes,
So those are the same as we have in the ERCB. We changed them. And then going on to the design standards. They are very similar to the other overlay districts. Again, probably not gonna talk a lot about those because there's really no difference. Same with lighting.
I did have a question on the building material stuff. We changed that language. Didn't we change the language about using frosted and opaque and reflected colored glass? We used the same language here instead of the old stuff.
We were just like,
Oh, yeah, before we did that.
Frost.
Yeah, but we can make a match.
Yep.
Thank you.
The same.
I have a question about decorative lighting. I feel like I had this in the other ones too, but I don't remember. Do we have a definition of decorative lighting anymore? I'm just wondering, like, did somebody come in, like, for example, the barn on 605 and say, well, it's decorative? And then it's okay?
And we are under exemptions, is that where we are?
Oh, no, lighting, types
Light-
of fixtures,
Lighting,
decorative light fixtures. Oh, yeah, they're.
Number 3.
All light fixtures shall be cut off type fixtures except for decorative
decorative.
light fixtures.
we can better define that. Decorative lighting is typically attached to the building. It's like your lighting by the garage,
Yeah.
the and the porch light. But we can better define that for you.
Okay, I don't want something to be, I think more of my concern is if the lighting is, intrusive to
Oh,
neighboring
yeah.
residential.
like
But
that
people
barn
are like,
on,
well, it's decorative, so it's,
It's not
exempt,
decorative.
and you're like.
If it's
"No, no, no, no,
offensive,
no,
it's
no."
still offensive.
It's
They'll,
still,
they'll take care of it.
it's still, okay, like,
Yeah, we just-
there's
we just
still an
took
out,
one- Yeah, we just took care of one here just before Christmas.
okay,
Guy had his floodlight.
Like it was not downlit.
Yeah, with the man, you gotta turn it down.
Yeah, I mean, when we have the under 6, we have the maximum foot candles that you can sell on your property. So even the decorative lighting would have to comply with that.
okay.
Jim, can you do anything about that giant garage at 605 in Beebleheimer? Well, it's
We're
just,
not.
it's
So you
offensive
can Find your way.
from miles away.
Unfortunately, there weren't any standards that would apply
So
there
that one,
Actually, we talked to him, Mike talked to him.
about the lighting.
yeah.
He's coming down enough.
I didn't do anything.
I don't think he did anything.
I don't go by that way at night.
Ah,
I will mention it,
blinding.
you can, more than welcome to mention it tonight, because I know we did talk to him once.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that because it's just blinding. You try to make that corner and if you look the wrong way, you're blinded.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's, shouldn't be.
Anything else on lighting,
No.
landscaping?
Landscaping?
Yes.
I had a question on number 4. We have, shall be replaced within 6 months. Why 6 months? That seems a little long.
It's because of the seasons. We have to provide enough time for them to get it in.
Okay, thank you.
Now, one thing I'll point out, and this is not just applicable on this page, I think it might be elsewhere, is sometimes there's a part of the sentence is highlighted or boldface, and then some of them aren't. So what's the best way to address that?
It's up there on the screen.
Oh, okay. I
So
can't
we
see it
can-
that far away.
That's all.
Of course, can't see that either.
Oh, all right. I can see it now.
So I just want to throw out there, it is 9:30 and we have way more than half remaining. Are we anticipating on finishing this tonight or should we?
My suggestion is we finish it tonight, but we can take a vote on that. If the commission votes otherwise, then we would have to continue and Holly will not be here at our next meeting.
Yeah, I've got to leave in 15 minutes. So I've got to be home by 10.
Do you guys have specific questions that you've written down? I mean, do you want to just, instead of me scrolling through every section, you've read it, and you have specific questions, we can just put those.
Okay. My next question isn't until the parking island landscaping.
I have a lot of questions. So we're not gonna be out of here in 15 minutes if we answer all of my questions. So,
Okay.
and I mean, I know you want to finish it, but we've already spent an hour on it and I'm telling you, we're gonna have way more than an hour and I'm not willing to stay that late.
So,
Can the questions be sent to Holly and Megan, and then Megan can answer them at the next meeting? 'Cause in other words, they can answer, they can research your questions,
Yeah,
and then at the next meeting, Megan can address them. How's that sound?
that sounds good.
Yeah.
The question becomes then, I don't have a problem with that. The question becomes that we would not be moving forward without it, with an application until the next meeting.
I don't, at this point we are we?
No,
No.
we're not ready. We wouldn't be ready anyway.
Beg your pardon?
I said, we're not ready anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, but I just want to make sure that everybody is understanding where we are with this.
And the board all agree, so that's not a problem.
Okay. So, we'll look to have an application for both of these at the February 3rd meeting. Okay?
And
Uh,
yeah, I know we all
And-
have Holly's email address. Do we have Megan's as well?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
will do
that's
both.
what we'll do. Anybody that has, additional questions?
So we're putting this on hold until February 3rd, is that what we're doing, or until the next workshop?
No,
No,
February 3rd. Yeah, we'll put it on the agenda for February 3rd.
Thank you.
And with that, then just make sure that you send those in an email to Holly. And I would also request that you send a copy either to all of us so that all of the zoning commission members know the questions that you're putting to her, or you submit them to Ashley and then she can forward them to us. Okay?
If you want, I can upload this document onto the shared document, and then I can actually send it, because I know you guys are having trouble getting to the shared document. But I can put them on the shared and then actually send it in a email to you guys and you can click on it.
But then
That
it's
way
hard to
you
follow
can
with the
see.
track the changes, I find. I find it's hard to follow everybody else's track changes on that.
You can make comments on the right side and I can make sure that it's turned on. And when you go to edit, just make sure up the right hand at the top. Essentially that it's like tracking is turned
Yeah,
on.
I've always
can turn
turned
that
that
off.
on, but somehow everybody else's stuff doesn't seem to be on there already.
Okay, I'll look at it and see if I can figure out why it's not popping up. But you should be able to see like everybody. You should be able to see the red lines, obviously, and then I go through right before a meeting and I go through and accept all them, so it turns it into like your final copy or your clean copy essentially. But I can definitely make it to where you can see comments. So like if Brittany has a question on, you know, she can say section this, letter G, why is it like this? And then you guys can go back through and say, I'll send you the shared document. Also.
And,
And
and
now we can kind of edit it and look at it on there.
at the next meeting, then will you bring a clean copies for everybody?
Yeah, so I was gonna ask, could we have, your questions, is it too much to ask to have it by the end of the week, the questions
This week?
this week?
Yeah, it's too much.
Okay. The end of next week?
Yeah.
And then we'll have answers, and the only reason I said this week was because that way we could make the changes and get everything back to you by the 27th, which is a week before your next meeting.
Mhm.
If we make it the end of next week, I don't think we can make changes by the 27th.
About the middle of next week.
Next week.
All right,
Yeah,
Yep.
like the 22nd.
yeah, middle of next week, okay, 22nd.
Alright.
To get that information into Holly. All right, sounds good. Thank you, Holly and Megan and Jim. I'll be in touch with you and we'll do the follow-up regarding this application. Right,
Yeah.
all right. Thank you.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'm not ready for a
Oh,
motion to
you're not ready
adjourn.
yet.
No.
Okay,
Um,
whenever Mike is ready.
So the reason I'm saying that is that I wanted to make a couple of announcements that you need to be aware of. Don't forget, we have a meeting scheduled on the 27th
I will not be here.
for, okay, you won't be here, but it's for the PCD from Mario Capaccio. Yep. And then forwarded the information to you about the requirement that we have to participate in fraud training.
I didn't see
I
that.
did not see that.
When did you send that?
Didn't that come out from Lisa to everybody?
I think it did. I'm
didn't see-
wondering if it just went to you.
Oh, well, maybe it just came to me.
So we have to do fraud training. It's like an 8-minute video. We can do it as a group. So if you guys want to plan to come to a meeting like 10 minutes early, I can stick it up on the screen. You can do it, sign your names on the sheet, and I'll turn it into Lisa.
Yeah.
But it's a requirement that they're making everybody do a
When's
fraud.
the deadline that we have to do that?
I'm not positive. I'll have to look.
Is that from the prosecutor's office or?
Yes, well, it came, it's a state auditor's
It's a
requirement.
state auditor, yeah.
Mark County?
Yeah,
So like any new
it's a,
hires, they'll have to do it.
it's a new requirement, just went into effect, but it affects, I verified with Corey that it indeed applies to us. Because it applies to employees, and I thought maybe it wouldn't apply to us, but no, it does. So we have to do the training, and as she said,
Yeah. but
we
the
could do
video,
it
I
all
think
at
it's like-
once if we just spend 8 minutes watching the video.
I think it's like 8 to 10 minutes, something like that. So I can even just put it up on, I should be able to put it up on one of these screens, or we can just put it on a laptop. and then
Yeah,
everybody
simple.
signs the
Do you want to
sheet.
do it as a group or do you want to do it individually? And then you have to fill out the form and send it in individually, and it's a requirement, so you must do it. One way or the other.
I was gonna say, I can
Do
send
it
you
as a
guys
group.
all the fraud video. You can watch it on your own time.
I'll just do
And
that.
then you can sign the paper
Yeah.
when you come in.
That's fine.
Which way do you want to do
I'll
it?
just watch it on my.
Just watch it on
Individual.
your own. Okay,
That's fine.
I will send the
Okay.
video
I'll
out
do
to
it
you
all.
tomorrow.
That'll be fine. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of it, that
No, we weren't.
it's something that we have to do and which way you wanted to do it.
Watch it during.
So it's going to be done individually, not as a group.
And then the public records request, I think everybody has already responded. Am I correct? I think I've seen all of you. Perfect.
And one last thing, actually two. I'm looking to get someone to volunteer to review the application for the amendment to the township zoning map and the procedural guidelines, because we've identified that there's a need. Will someone volunteer to take that on? We don't have to have it by the next meeting, but at some point, we do need to make those revisions. There will need to be some revisions.
Why don't you put that out in an email and let us take a look at how big a job that might be?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure what exactly you want.
Well, what we need to do is look at the application form and make sure that what the application requires and our procedural guidelines are consistent with the zoning resolution now.
It sounds like a big job.
That's not that big of a job, Tom. If no one else will do it, I'll volunteer to do it. I don't want to do it, but I will.
Is it just?
I don't want to, I want other people to participate in this process. I beg your pardon?
Is it the 3-page document that I printed for you guys, the procedural document? Is that the one you're talking about? Reviewing?
The procedural guidelines.
Yeah, the 3 pages that we printed earlier in the.
Right.
Okay.
There's just certain things in there that, you know, it makes reference to various the requirements, and they're not accurate anymore.
Mike, I'd be happy to do it. I think I might need just a little bit more clarification from you, like an example, or like maybe I'm too dense. If you point me to something, I'll run with it. I don't want you to have to do it all by yourself.
Well, I'll tell you what, let me go ahead and I'll go through it and then I'll send that to you and you can do the detail work.
Okay.
How's
fine.
that?
Yeah.
Well, things that I've identified.
If you star a couple things,
That's what I mean.
that'll get me started, and then I can go through it with.
Great,
with
let's
a
do it
finer
that way.
tooth comb. Yeah.
Because I went through and thought, oh, we got a couple of things here. And then we have to be consistent with the directive we now have from Corey Go that we have to accept applications
Yeah, yeah.
at
right,
any of
right,
our
right.
meetings.
Okay,
So,
yeah, I'll do that.
all right, so I'll do that and then send you that and you can take it from there.
Yep. You do it
Oh,
first.
I'm gonna put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
That's fine. I won't have it done by the next meeting, so.
I'm looking at maybe we'll deal with that come March.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna have our plates full. Well, our plate is full.
Yeah.
It runneth over.
Yeah.
Okay. The minutes we're not going to do tonight because we already have a motion that's been proposed. But hopefully we can do them quickly at the next meeting. I don't know how long the preliminary meeting will take. We might consider doing it then.
Yeah.
If that can go
Get through.
quickly on the 27th.
All my
But
corrections
you've
are
already
so-
made your corrections.
The copies.
So
you gave
it
us
shouldn't be
tonight
a long
are
task.
corrected copies.
Yes.
at
So
this
if I
point.
found other.
But I don't wanna do it
things,
tonight.
Yep, you let me know.
Because we're already 10 minutes past.
Okay.
All right, Brittany, will you go ahead and make your motion?
Hey, Mike,
There's a
this is
question on
John
the
Trainer.
timeline.
John Trainer.
John has a question.
Oh,
Hey.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear anybody out there.
Yeah, just real quick, a
It's not,
reminder,
It's John Trainer. Whoops,
He's talking.
go ahead, John.
just real quick, a reminder to the board that our first strategic planning meeting is on Saturday, January 25th from 8 until noon. And board members are certainly invited to participate in that process. And it sounds like you guys have a really busy schedule, but if you can be available for that, that would be great. Thanks.
John, will that meeting be a continuous 4-hour meeting, or is it more of an open house style meeting?
It's a continuous 4-hour meeting.
All right, it's a solid 4 hours. Okay,
But
thank you.
I'm sure members could pop in or out.
All right, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Everybody heard the announcement, so we now know about it,
Except for Alan.
except for Alan.
I'll email.
Okay.
It's on the calendar.
Okay,
I
thank
make
you
a
for,
motion to
I'm
adjourn.
sorry, John, I missed
second.
the fact that you had appeared and wanted to make some comments. Anything else?
I second Brittany's motion to adjourn.
All right. Any further discussion?
All right.
Hearing none?
Right,
All
nine
in favor,
thirty-four.
Aye. Aye. Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you. Good